Just one more night, human. Then I'll never ask again. She begged softly, the crash that changed everything. When stars fall to earth, the night Marcus heard the screaming metal tear through the sky, he was fixing his old truck in the garage. The sound wasn't like anything he'd ever heard before. It started as a whistle, then became a roar that shook the windows of his farmhouse. When he stepped outside, the entire horizon glowed orange. Marcus wasn't the type to chase excitement. At 35, he'd seen enough of the world during his time in the military. Now he preferred the quiet life, tending to his small farm in rural Montana, miles from the nearest neighbor. The peace helped him forget the things he'd rather not remember. But tonight, peace shattered like glass. The crash site was 3 miles, through the woods. Marcus grabbed his flashlight and first aid kit, habits from his old life kicking in. The smell hit him first, ozone and something metallic that made his teeth ache. Then he saw the crater. The ship wasn't like anything from Earth. It curved and flowed like liquid metal frozen in time. Parts of it still glowed with heat, steam rising into the cold night air, and there beside the wreckage was her. She sat against a broken tree, one hand pressed to her side where dark fluid seeped between her fingers. Her skin had a pearl-like quality that caught the moonlight. When she looked up at him, her eyes were the color of deep space, not black, but filled with distant stars. "Human," she said, the word clear despite her obvious pain. "I need your help." Marcus had seen wounded soldiers before. He knew the look of someone fighting to stay conscious. Without thinking, he knelt beside her. "How badly are you hurt?" She tried to smile, but it came out as more of a grimace. "My people would say I'm dying. Your people might say I'm already dead." "Well, good thing I'm not much for listening to what people say." Marcus examined her wound carefully. The injury was deep, but the bleeding had mostly stopped. Whatever her blood was made of, it clotted differently than human blood. "Why aren't you afraid?" she asked, as he helped her to her feet. Marcus considered the question. Here was an alien being crashed on his land asking for his help. A week ago, he would have said he'd call the government or run or do anything except what he was doing now. "Maybe I should be. But you're hurt, and I'm here. That's all that matters right now." She leaned against him as they walked toward his house. She was lighter than she looked, but her skin was warm, warmer than human skin should be. "My name is Kira," she said. "Marcus." He helped her up the porch steps. "Kira's a human name. It's close enough to my real name that you can pronounce and—" She paused at his front door. "Marcus, when my people come looking for me, you should not be found with me. It would not go well for you." He looked at her blood on his shirt, at the way she trusted him enough to lean on his strength. "How long do we have?" "Days, maybe. They will need time to track my ship's signature." Marcus opened his door and helped her inside. "Then we'll figure it out in days. Right now, let's just focus on keeping you alive." As he settled her on his couch and went to get clean bandages, Marcus didn't know that his simple act of kindness would soon challenge everything humans thought they knew about the universe. He didn't know that Kira wasn't just any alien. She was a scout for an empire that saw Earth as their next conquest. All he knew was that someone needed help, and he could provide it. The old grandfather clock in his hallway ticked steadily, marking time toward a future none of them could predict. Part 2. Secrets in the Starlight, the truth about visitors. 3 days passed before Kira told him the truth. Marcus had spent those days learning how to care for someone whose biology was both similar to and completely different from his own. Her wound healed faster than any human injury should, but she needed more sleep than seemed normal. She ate his food, but only small amounts and only certain things. Vegetables and fruits, never meat. "You're vegetarian?" he asked on the second morning, watching her pick at the eggs he'd made. "My people don't process animal proteins the same way yours do." She pushed the plate away. "Marcus, there are things I need to tell you about why I'm here." Something in her tone made him set down his coffee cup. "I'm listening." Kira stood and walked to his window. In the morning light, her skin looked almost normal, except for the way it seemed to glow from within. My ship wasn't exploring, it was scouting. Scouting for what? She turned to face him. For the fleet that comes after me. The words hung in the air between them. Marcus felt something cold settle in his stomach. What kind of fleet? Conquest ships. My people. We need new worlds. Our own is dying. Kira's voice was steady, but Marcus could hear the pain underneath. Earth was selected as a suitable replacement. Marcus stood slowly. Replacement. The plan was to study your people, find your weaknesses, then clear the surface for our colonists. She met his eyes. I was supposed to prepare the way. And instead you crashed in my backyard. Marcus tried to process what she was telling him. How long do we have? The fleet will arrive in 30 days, maybe less. Kira moved closer to him. Marcus, you have to understand, I didn't know. We were told humans were primitive, barely sentient. We were told you had no real civilization, no bonds worth preserving. What changed your mind? She reached out and touched his hand. Her fingers were warm, and Marcus felt something like an electric current pass between them. You did. When you found me bleeding and broken, you didn't hesitate. You didn't ask what I could give you in return, you just helped. Marcus looked down at their joined hands. Kira, what exactly are you saying? I'm saying that everything my people believe about humans is wrong. You're not primitive, you're not disposable. Her grip tightened. I'm saying I can't let them destroy you. The weight of what she was telling him settled on Marcus like a stone. An alien invasion fleet was coming to Earth. They had 30 days, and the only person who could help them was the scout who was supposed to betray them. What can we do? He asked. I don't know yet, but Marcus... She looked up at him, and in her star-filled eyes he saw something that made his breath catch. I need you to know that whatever happens, these 3 days with you have meant more to me than all my years of service to the Empire. Before he could respond, she stepped closer. Just one more night, human, she whispered. Give me one more night to pretend this is all there is. Tomorrow we can face what's coming. Marcus felt the world shifting around him. 3 days ago he'd been a simple farmer. Now he was Earth's unwitting first line of defense against an alien invasion, and he was falling for the scout who was supposed to destroy his world. Kira, he said softly, what makes you think we only have one more night? She smiled, and for the first time since he'd found her, it reached her eyes. Because I'm going to help you fight them, and when my people find out what I've done, neither of us will be safe anywhere in the galaxy. Outside, storm clouds gathered on the horizon. Inside, Marcus and Kira held each other as if they could stop the universe from spinning toward war. Through sheer force of will, the clock ticked on, counting down to humanity's greatest test. The fleet arrives early, when hope becomes defiance. The ships appeared 17 days later, not 30. Marcus woke before dawn to find Kira standing rigid at the window, her skin flickering with patterns of light he'd never seen before. They're here, she said without turning around. Marcus joined her at the window. The sky was wrong. Where stars should have been, massive shadows blocked out sections of the night. As his eyes adjusted, he could make out the faint glow of engines, dozens of them, arranged in perfect formation above Earth's atmosphere. How many? He asked. 57 warships, 300 support vessels, enough to sterilize the surface of a planet. Kira's voice was hollow. They're early because they lost contact with me. They assume I was killed by hostile natives. Marcus felt his military training kick in, the same calm that had gotten him through 2 tours overseas. What's their standard procedure? Orbital bombardment first. Destroy major population centers and military installations. Then ground forces to secure strategic resources. She finally turned to look at him. Marcus, there's something else. My ship had a communication array. If I can reach it, I might be able to contact the fleet commander. To tell them what? That humans aren't what they think. That this world is worth preserving. Kira's hands clenched into fists. My commander is named Zephyr. We served together for decades before I was assigned to scouting duty. If anyone will listen, it's him. Marcus was already moving, pulling on clothes and boots. How long before they start the bombardment? Standard protocol is 6 hours of observation first, less if they detect organized resistance. They reached the crash site as the sun rose. Kira's ship looked even more alien in daylight, its surface reflecting colors that had no names in human language. Kira placed her hands on what looked like a smooth panel, and sections of the hull flowed open like liquid. Inside, the ship was bigger than it appeared from outside. Walls curved in directions that hurt Marcus's eyes to follow. Kira moved through the space with practiced ease, touching controls that responded to her presence. "There," she said, settling into what might have been a pilot's chair. "I'm connecting to the fleet's communication network." The air around them filled with sound. Not quite music, not quite speech, but something that seemed to bypass Marcus's ears and speak directly to his mind. Kira spoke in her own language, words that flowed like water over stone. Then another voice responded deeper and with an edge of authority that made Marcus's spine straighten instinctively. "He wants to know why I'm still alive," Kira translated, "and why I'm contacting the fleet instead of providing the tactical data I was supposed to gather." "What are you telling him?" "The truth." Kira's hands moved over the controls and images appeared in the air around them, scenes from their time together. Marcus saw himself through her eyes, carrying her from the wreckage, tending her wounds, sharing meals, walking through his fields. As she recovered, the other voice spoke again, sharper now. "He says humans are clearly more dangerous than we thought if we've managed to corrupt a veteran scout." Kira's voice was strained. "He's ordering me to report to the flagship immediately. And if you refuse? Then they assume I'm compromised, beyond recovery." She looked at him with infinite sadness. "Marcus, I need you to understand. If I go with them, I might be able to convince Zephyr to spare Earth, but I'll never see you again." Marcus felt something break inside his chest. "And if you stay?" "If I stay, they'll know humans are capable of forming bonds with other species. They'll see that as a threat to their expansion plans." Kira stood and took his hands. "They'll destroy Earth just to make sure no other worlds can form alliances against them." The weight of the decision settled between them. Save Earth by giving up their future together or stay together and watch the world burn. "There's a third option," Marcus said quietly. "What?" "We fight." Kira stared at him. "Marcus, you've seen their fleet. Earth's military technology is centuries behind ours. Maybe. But they don't know humans the way you do now." Marcus squeezed her hands. "They're expecting primitive, isolated creatures. They're not expecting people who'll fight for each other, who'll die for strangers, who'll never give up as long as there's hope." Above them, the alien fleet waited in perfect formation, ready to unleash destruction on an unsuspecting world. In a crashed scout ship, a human farmer and an alien scout held each other and chose love over safety, hope over certainty. The war for Earth was about to begin. Part 4. The Last Stand Together, When Two Worlds Become One. The message Marcus sent to every government, military installation, and news outlet on Earth was simple. "They're here. We have maybe 4 hours before they attack. This is not a joke. Look up." By the time the world looked up and saw the impossible fleet hanging in their sky, Marcus and Kira were already implementing their desperate plan. "Your ship's weapons," Marcus said as they worked frantically at the alien controls. "Can they hurt those bigger ships?" "Not the warships, but the support vessels." Kira's hands danced over the interface. "If I can target their communication relays, it might disrupt their coordination long enough for your military to respond." Around the world, humanity was waking up to its first contact with alien intelligence. Not the peaceful meeting scientists had always imagined, but the brutal reality of a species facing extinction. Yet as Marcus watched news feeds on Kira's repaired systems, he saw something that made his chest swell with pride. Humanity wasn't panicking. They were fighting. Military bases that should have been overwhelmed by fear were coordinating response strategies. Civilians were evacuating cities in orderly lines while others volunteered to help. Scientists were sharing every piece of data they could gather about the alien ships. The world was coming together in ways Marcus had never seen before. "They're beautiful," Kira whispered, watching the same feeds. "Your people. Even facing impossible odds, they don't break. Now you understand why I couldn't just let you die in the woods," Marcus said. Above them, the alien fleet had noticed the unusual activity on Earth's surface. The bombardment schedule was moving up. "Zephyr is trying to contact me again," Kira said, her hand hovering over the communication controls. "Answer him." The familiar voice filled the ship, speaking in Kira's language. But this time, Marcus could somehow understand parts of it, as if their connection had taught him to hear beyond words. Kira responded, her voice strong and clear. Marcus heard his own name in her alien words, heard her describe what she'd learned about humanity. Zephyr's response was cold and final. "He says I've been compromised beyond recovery," Kira translated. "The bombardment begins now." The first strike hit New York. Marcus watched the city's skyline disappear in a column of light that reached into space. But even as buildings fell, he saw evacuation ships rising from the harbor, his people refusing to give up even as their world burned. "Kira," he said, "can your ship's computer calculate targeting solutions for Earth's military?" "Yes, but Marcus, your weapons can't penetrate their shields." "Our weapons can't. But what about yours?" She stared at him. "You want to use my scout ship as a weapon? I want to use it as a beacon. If we can punch through their shields even once, show Earth's military exactly where to hit them." Marcus met her eyes. "We might not win, but we can make them pay for every inch." Kira's hands moved over the controls, and Marcus felt the ship powering up around them. "Marcus, this is a suicide mission. Even if we damage one of their ships, they'll destroy us. Probably." Marcus strapped himself into the co-pilot's seat. "But Kira, look at what's happening down there. On the screens around them, they could see humanity's response to the invasion. Fighter jets that couldn't possibly damage alien warships were still launching, their pilots knowing they flew to certain death. Ground forces were taking positions they couldn't possibly hold. And everywhere people were helping each other, saving strangers, choosing courage over survival. They're not fighting because they think they can win," Marcus said. "They're fighting because it's who they are. Because some things are worth dying for." Kira reached over and took his hand. "Just one more night," you said. "Give me one more night to pretend this is all there is." "This is all there is," Marcus replied. "Right here, right now. You and me and a choice to make." The ship rose from the forest, climbing toward the massive alien fleet. On every screen in the world, people watched a small craft, barely visible against the vast enemy ships, accelerate toward impossible odds. "Zephyr is hailing us," Kira said. "Answer him." This time, when Zephyr spoke, his words carried confusion, and something that might have been concern. "He wants to know why I'm attacking my own people," Kira translated. Marcus squeezed her hand. "Tell him the truth." Kira spoke in her own language, but Marcus understood her meaning. She wasn't attacking her people. She was defending her new family. The nearest warship's weapon systems locked onto their small craft. Around the world, humanity held its breath. Part 5. Love that transcends stars. The choice that changed everything. The weapons lock warning filled Kira's ship with urgent sound, but neither of them moved to change course. Below them, Earth waited. Above them, 57 warships prepared to fire. "Incoming transmission from the flagship," Kira said. "Zephyr wants to speak directly to you." The alien commander's image appeared before them, tall, angular, with skin that shifted between silver and blue. When he spoke, Marcus heard the words in perfect English. "Human," Zephyr said, "you have corrupted one of our best scouts. Release her immediately and your death will be swift." Marcus looked at the alien commander with the same steady gaze he'd once used on hostile forces in distant countries. "With respect, sir, nobody corrupted anybody. She made her own choice." "Impossible." Kira has served the Empire for over a century. Her loyalty is absolute. Was absolute, Marcus corrected. People change when they find something worth changing for. Beside him, Kira worked frantically at the ship's controls. Marcus, I'm detecting massive energy buildups in the fleet. They're preparing to glass the entire planet. Zephyr must have heard her. Kira, you have 30 seconds to separate yourself from the human and report to the flagship. If you do not comply, we will assume you are beyond recovery. Kira's hand stilled on the controls. For a moment, Marcus thought she might actually consider it. Save herself. Try to negotiate for Earth from within the fleet's command structure. It would be the smart choice, the logical choice. Instead, she reached over and took his hand. Zephyr, she said, looking directly into the communication display. In all my years of service, have I ever lied to you? The commander's expression softened slightly. Never. Then believe me when I tell you this. Everything we thought we knew about humans is wrong. They are not primitive. They are not weak. They are not disposable. Her voice grew stronger. They are capable of love that transcends species, loyalty that defies logic, and courage that laughs at impossible odds. Kira, I have found something in this human that I never found in a century of service to the Empire. I have found a reason to be better than I was. She squeezed Marcus's hand. And if you destroy Earth, you will be destroying the greatest treasure in the galaxy, a species that can teach us what it means to be truly alive. The communication went silent. Around them, the weapons locks from the entire fleet painted their small ship with targeting beams. Then something impossible happened. The first ship to stand down was a destroyer on the fleet's outer edge, then another, then an entire squadron. What's happening? Marcus asked. Kira was staring at her instruments in amazement. They're listening to our conversation. The whole fleet is hearing what I said about humans, about you. She looked up at him with wonder. Marcus, they're questioning their orders. On the communication display, Zephyr's image flickered and reformed, but now he wasn't alone. Marcus could see other alien commanders gathered around him, all talking at once in their fluid language. Kira, Zephyr said finally, we are receiving reports from scouts throughout the galaxy. Worlds we conquered decades ago are showing unprecedented resistance. Populations that should have been broken are organizing, fighting back with strategies we don't understand. What kind of strategies? They're sacrificing themselves for strangers. They're sharing resources instead of hoarding them. Zephyr paused as if the words were difficult. They're acting like the humans you've described. Understanding dawned in Kira's eyes. The traits you've found in humans aren't unique to humans. They're what every species becomes when they're allowed to develop bonds, communities, love. And by destroying worlds before they reach that development, you've been killing the galaxy's potential. Kira's voice was gentle but firm. Zephyr, Earth isn't just another world to conquer. It's a glimpse of what all our worlds could have become. The weapons locks began disappearing from their ship. One by one, the massive warships powered down their offensive systems. Marcus watched in amazement as the invasion fleet, the most powerful military force in the galaxy, chose mercy over conquest. There will be consequences, Zephyr said finally. The Empire will not tolerate an entire fleet refusing orders. Then it's time for a new empire, Kira replied. One that builds instead of destroys. One that learns instead of conquers. As the sun set over Earth, the alien fleet began its transformation from invasion force to something unprecedented in galactic history, a coalition of worlds choosing to grow together instead of consuming each other. Marcus looked at Kira, at this incredible being who had given up everything she knew for a chance at something better. So, he said, what happens now? She smiled, the expression lighting up her alien features with purely human joy. Now we go home. We tend your farm. We watch your people and mine learn to build something beautiful together. And if the Empire comes for us, then we'll face them the way humans always face impossible odds. She leaned against him as their ship descended toward the small farmhouse where their story began. together. The stars watched as two worlds became one, connected not by conquest, but by the simple, revolutionary act of choosing love over fear. In the end, that choice saved them all.